and then see if the standoff will, this standoff. Hello and welcome to another Retro Crazy. We're working on this Amiga A1200 and this is a sneak preview of what's coming up in this episode. So sit back, relax, and we'll continue from where we left off. Power supplies are dangerous. There are components in these that can hold a charge long after they're unplugged from the mains. So if you're unsure what you're doing, go seek professional advice. So this power supply is actually an Amiga 500 power supply. It is the about 2.5 pound version. This is the 312503-02. It's the heavy one. And to be honest, I prefer, having a proper transformer. Nothing wrong with the switch modes, but yeah, the proper transformer is great. And this gives out a bit more current, especially if you want to add in extras later. So the output is 4.3 amps, so a little bit beefier. I've added this on. It came with the cable tie, so we will be removing that. We'll check the power supply, we'll replace caps, we will check the fuse, because 3 amp fused, do we really think so? Can hope, but let's find out. And it actually has a 3 amp fuse fitted. Superb. This is coming out, that's partially out. Let me zoom down so you can see it properly. So you can see the earth is all the way through, but both of these are slightly out, and this hasn't even been routed right. It's been routed over the top of this support, and that's what this crush damage is. So even though it's got a 3 amp fuse, there's still issues within the plug, so let's sort that before we do anything. And there we are, that's the plug done. It's now properly strain relieved. There's no issue with connections coming loose, they're all nice and tight, and it is actually a slightly more modern plug because it's got the insulated top. Right, let's open up this power supply and see what's inside. And while I'm taking this apart, I really should let you know that this has been about 2.5 weeks since I recorded the first part. Wow. This screwdriver is not ideal. It's not wanting to bite in properly. Yeah, just trying to get parts through. Trying to organise sensibly priced parts. It's been absolutely scary. Power supplies at the moment, for example, which this one came off with eBay, this one was about £30 I think, but I've seen them, wow, that's really tight. I've seen them advertised for anywhere up to like 45, 50. It's absolutely crazy. Floppy drives have just been extortionately priced, and I mean really extortionately priced. So everything intact, nothing broken, which is good. It's definitely dusty. Not sure what they've used there, but that's a lot of fluff. A lot of fluff. tasty. Right, let's get the rest of this out and we'll see what we've got. Right, so there's a number of caps down here. This isn't actually attached, it's just kind of put in place. I don't want to put too much stress on it. That's about as much as I really want to do. Oh my goodness. Not joking when I said it was a bit dusty. I need to clean all that. But we do have a number of caps in here that I would like to replace. So let's pop these off, put in some new ones, defluff the whole thing and take it from there. So that's it all back together. I've given it a clean, looks much better, cabling isn't too bad. It's now plugged into the mains, just not switched on yet. So let's check and see what we get from here. So first thing first, I'm going to switch it on here. Hopefully we don't get a bang. I can hear the humming of the transformer. I'll take a no bang as a good sign. So let's check voltages now. Unfortunately I can't find my heat shrink, which is a little bit annoying, so this is going to be a bit dodgy, but we should be able to do this. I should be able to do this. I really wish I could find my heat shrink, this would be so much safer. So I found a small piece of heat shrink. It's a little bit smaller than I would have liked, a little bit narrower, so it doesn't allow me to hold everything properly in place, but should work enough. So if I'm quick, this should be 5 volts, a little bit high, but that's not under load, minus 12 and plus 12. So there we go. We've got the voltages we expect. Power supply is good. So with the power supply done, I'm going to look at the keyboard next. And there's a couple of things I want to do. Obviously, I want to clean all these keys. Now, you will notice that there is no board on this, because unlike the 500, that's all done on the 1200 itself. And I'm hoping that simply means that these particular keys I should be able to just swap out for conventional keys, so that I have them in the right sequence. Some of these keys are also a different colour, so the chances are they're from a different keyboard. This doesn't seem right, it's just not going down in the middle when you press the side, so I need to look at that. But the entire keyboard will need a good clean. So let's pop all these keycaps off and give them a good clean. So a little over 10 minutes later and it's all done, but we can see on one of the springs at least it's half a spring, and there's a lot of corrosion on some of the others. Others are absolutely perfectly fine. I mean, case in point, that one's absolutely fine. That one's got corrosion on the bottom. So I'll need to dip the springs into a little bit of vinegar, try and neutralise some of the rust. The keys are going to need to go into a good clean and get any of the corrosion and the dirt and debris off of the keys. I'll give this a bit of a clean up, and then all of the bars will need to be done as well. Now unfortunately this bar is broken. The pivot points for it have snapped, so yeah, this is why it's not operating as it should. I'm not sure there's much I can do. I might see if I can maybe drill and put a couple of pins in at least to try and hold it roughly in place, I guess. But whatever happens, I'm going to need to clean off all of this corrosion off of a good few of them. it is what it is. In fact, I can see that one's broken too, so it's only being held on one side. So yeah, keyboard's not in the greatest condition, but we'll see what we can do, and we'll see if we can come up with some way of repairing this. So I was getting ready to do some cleaning when I noted that these keys are very, very smooth. And I'm sure the Amiga keys had a little bit more texture to them. And underneath, that's very, very white. And I don't remember that being a UK thing. Some of the keys look, you know, better. They are slightly textured on top, but obviously colour stained from needing retro brighted, and definitely more beige underneath. And that made me wonder. So the Scheme Mode actually sent me a couple of other bits and pieces, and he sent me a few of these, and in here looks like a much more complete set of UK keys. They seem to be much more textured, they're all slightly yellowed, and just look that little bit more authentic, but more importantly, UK. UK keys. So if I can pop one off like so, and still stained. I mean, they are smooth, but they're not as white on the underside, but still textured on top. So I think I'm gonna I was about to say I'm gonna pop all these off and use these instead after a good wash, after having pushed one back in place. I may not use this space bar because that is definitely needing desperately retro brighted. You can see what it's meant to be inside, and yeah, it's kind of like not the same at all. So I may use the space bar, but everything else is going to be, I guess, replaced and swapped over to this set. Right, you don't need to see me pop another set off, so I'm going to pop these out and we're going to use these ones. So next we're going to look at the case, which needs a little bit of clean, a little bit of a tidy up, and some case repair down here. So I'm going to do the case repair first. So I'm just going to pop the case apart, he says, hopefully without breaking any more of it. There we go. We can see two of these have already broken, but the rest appear to be intact, so let's try and keep them that way. We're going to quickly check the bottom. Other than that bit, little impact in the corner, which we can tidy up. Everything else seems fine. Could do with a clean. So we'll pop that to the side, and that leaves us access to the upper case, which we know we've got some damage here. I'm really not too fussed about that damage. I'm more worried about the fact that this is broken clean through. Now, where it is not too bad. I mean, if I zoom you down, so you can see the breaks there. However, if I line them up and push them together, then they pretty much disappear, which is exactly what we want, because it means from the front they'll pretty much disappear. But I've got to work on the back, and I'm first of all just going to open it up slightly, and I'm going to put a little bit of super glue in there, so that first of all we can get some structure back to this. After I've done that, I'm going to use the old trick. I'm going to scrape some of this up, I'm going to put super glue on it, and then I'm going to drop bicarbonate of soda or baking powder, and that will then react with the super glue, making a really hard like plastic, and that is really going to bond these together and make it structurally strong. So let me crack on with that now. So after cleaning in another couple of days sun brighting, it's looking a lot better. The mark here has gone completely, it's looking a little bit better. I've still got a slight ridge here. Smooth there though, and in general not all the stains came out, but a good number of them have really faded and disappeared. Now before I can really use this, there's still one thing I need to do, and that's on this upper casing, because I don't have any LEDs. Now trying to get these separately these days is nigh on impossible. I didn't find any in a search, so I had to jump on to AmigaKit, where I picked up one of their aftermarket ones, and it just has absolutely everything on it. And we've got 3 LEDs. It's just, sorry, technically it's actually 6 because they've done them as a pair, because there is a join in the middle. But this should drop on and give us the colours that we need, kind of like that. Although you may find may indeed be something like that. Now at the same time, just in case, I ordered up a pair of screws, and while it doesn't look fully authentic, we've got some LEDs again. So there's still a fair bit to go. We don't have a floppy drive, we don't have a number of other things, but what I can do at least is look at putting the start of this 1200 together, and let's maybe pop the motherboard into the lower case. So at each stage it gets a little bit more towards what it should be. I do appear to be missing a mouse port. Something else to track down next. So no 1200 is going to be complete without a floppy drive, but as I said at the start, trying to get one at a sensible price is just not an option. So an SFD321B Samsung drive is one of those ones that's PC based but kind of universal, which is really good. Now there are a number of things we need to do. I'm going to have to obviously take the faceplate and the button off, that goes without saying. But to get this to work on an Amiga, I've got a little list of things I'll need to do. PC drives are set to drive select 1. I'll need to change this over so it's drive select 0 for the Amiga. Pin 34 is the disk change notification on the PC, but the Amiga doesn't use that, it uses a ready signal, so we need to sort that. Pin 2 is the density selector for a PC between high density and double density, but really not used on the Amiga. We need a disk change signal, so we're going to be pinching that obviously from pin 34. I'm going to have to remove that LED on the front, otherwise it's just going to be on constantly. Nothing major, but let's get this open. So now that we're in, we can see if we look down here, there is a solder bridge here, and that's for disk select 1. Disk select 0 should be that one. We've got pre-built in the disk change indicator, but also a ready indicator, so we need to move that, well, it's a 0 ohm link over, and then when we do that we need to take the signal from the disk change over to pin 2. A couple of other things, we want to remove this LED. I'm checking the in use section here, there's no connections, that's good. Apparently on some of them there can be, and the 2 caps we need access to are C4 and C14, and if we flip over we can see them tucked down here. Let's get all these out and finish off with a clean. LED has been removed, all gone there. We've got no connection on the DC, but now the ready signal is correct. Disk select is now broken on DS1, however, absolutely fine there. So next I need to run a jumper wire from here over to this side where it comes out the chip. In fact, I can take it from here. So a nice straight run from here straight over. Okay, so I've had the caps out. I went to replace them only to realise they're not 47s, they're 33s. And 33 25 volt, I don't have anything that size. I've got 16 volt but not 25s, and you should always go over, not under. So at this moment in time I am not going to be replacing the caps. I'm going to trust that they'll have enough life in them to do the job at the moment. What I am going to do now is give everything a clean up and put the case back on. So with everything cleaned and washed, I'm going to see if I can do a repair on this keyboard. We've got a point here that one of the metal pivots clips onto, and that is broken off. It wasn't here, so it's obviously happened before I got the keyboard. Now, what I'm thinking of doing is I'm going to pull out one of the pins from a pin header. I'm going to use a very small drill bit and I'm going to drill a hole, bend the pin header through 90 degrees, shove it in and glue it, and try and recreate that point so that we actually have something that will hold the actual mechanism in place. Now, to find out exactly which size I'm going to need, I'm going to use the fascia that we took off. I'm just going to put a small hole where it's not going to be seen, even though we don't really need it, so somewhere through here, and then we'll see if the pin header will go in, and it should be a tight fit. That's an advantage. If it's too loose, it's just going to fall in, and I would like to be able to set the height and glue it. So let me pull one of these out, drill a couple of test holes, find out which one we need. And there we are. That's only the best part of 25 minutes to reassemble that. You'll notice the backing plate has changed colour. It is now brown. It's the only primer I had to hand that would do metal, so it's all been rubbed down. Worst of the rust is off, all done. Everything been done, and pleased to say, fix working perfectly. Well, I guess let's pop this back into the case. Now, I'm not overly impressed with the spacebar. It's very rattly. I'm going to have to check another one and just see exactly what's going on. Plus, ideally I could do with replacing all the springs. However, at this moment in time, this is looking a lot better. I don't have a top shield, unfortunately, which is a shame. I'll need to look at ordering one up. It is going to interfere with the floppy drive, which is a problem. But let's look at popping the floppy drive in as well. I haven't actually clipped the keyboard down, I'm just making sure it all goes in. So how good is that looking, and how close are we getting? That's just scary. Unfortunately, this video has taken forever to create. I'm prepping to go on holiday, I'm getting a conversion done, there's so many things going on, I am struggling for time. So I'm going to have to cut this video short here. There's a few things we've still got to do. I need a mouse. It's not going to work very well without a mouse port of some shape, form or description. I mean, it's fine having game one, but I'd rather have the mouse. I've got a fitment issue on this corner. Not quite sure what it is. I have a sneaking suspicion it is the pins that stick up from the casing. Sorry, from the heat shield. These things. I think one is sitting under there and lifting it up. Fairly sure that's what the issue is, but I'm not too worried about that. And I would like to find a top shield. But yeah, this is looking so much more like an Amiga 1200. Button seems to line up for the floppy drive where it should. It's looking great. So thank you for watching. Until the next one, which will be the final one on this. He said, and hoping he hasn't just jinxed the entire thing by saying that. That would be typical, wouldn't it? Alright, thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next Retro Crazy or Retro Crazy Mini Bite.